Hello, what nuts, Humpty Dump nuts, and sacrifice bunt nuts. It is Monday, May 13th in the United States, and this is What Chaos presented by Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports Made Easy. Use promo code What Chaos for a first deposit match up to $100. Right there is our guy, Pete Rose. Over there, we've got Sean Figgins, and I am Brave Dave Ortiz. Hey everybody, let's talk some baseball.
Shut the fuck up. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood today.
You're fucking missing it. We don't have to talk hockey if we're talking baseball.
Another City Connect jersey dropped over the weekend.
Oh, it was a good week for her.
Which one was that one?
The Guardians.
Yeah, that one was pretty shitty.
It was bad.
It was very
really...
mid.
We got to stop doing the City Connect thing.
No, we don't. We need to do them right.
No, I think everybody's running out of ideas.
But if you're proving that you are doing it wrong, what's the definition of insanity? Having a hockey show.
That's right.
That's what.
Yeah.
They always make bad ones, so I'm done being disappointed.
They don't
Just
always make bad
them.
ones. Some of the best jerseys in sports all time are also City
They're
Connect.
hitting like on like a 7% clip right now.
They're like 50-50.
No, they're not.
I have a full notepad
baseball
in my phone of ranked every City Connect jersey that's been released.
All right, I've had enough of baseball talk. We've got a limited amount of time before before Steve Goldstein, play-by-play guy for the Panthers, joins, and I want to get all of my complaining out of the way first. So.
Okay, we're gonna start with a little Boston Bruins. The Panthers are up 3-1 in the second round series, a win away from presumably playing the Rangers. They did it yesterday, Sunday, with a third period come from behind victory. On paper, that all fucking makes sense. Panthers up on Bruins. Bruins sucking the old penis in the third period. All this makes sense. But Peter, this series has become a shit show. And a lot of it is hit chat. A lot of it is officiating chat. Not the type of thing that we like to do. But I think a lot of people want to hear that. And quite frankly, I want to do some hit chat. I want to do some officiating chat because it colors what's going to end up being a pretty lopsided series.
Yeah, and I think like my big takeaway from this whole thing is that I just wanted to get through this series without being severely annoyed, whether it was by the Bruins play or whether it was by bullshit happening. And we're sitting here right now, and both of those annoying things have come and met in the middle. Like the Bruins are playing like absolute shit over and over and over again, and it's driving me crazy. Like I understand that the Panthers are a much, much better team. That as much is very clear throughout the 4 games of the series. Very, very clear. The Panthers are the better team. But we could be sitting here, very, very plausibly could be sitting here with this series somehow being tied 2-2.
That's my issue with it. And what upsets you more? The Bruins sucking ass or all the other bullshit?
All the other bullshit, because the Bruins sucking ass is not like a surprising development. And if a team gets their dick kicked in and loses in a quick series, I'm all right with that. Like you lost the fucking series. Like the better team won. I'm totally okay coming away from a series being like, man, my favorite team lost, but they were severely outplayed, and that's okay. Like I just want to see entertaining, good playoff hockey. I just have no stomach, whether it's the Bruins, whether it's any team, when the refs get on some bullshit and then ultimately decide a good game.
And the Bruins are getting their asses kicking this series. Shots are 146-79 through 4 games. Shots don't tell the whole story. I was texting with someone about this last night. I'm always pushing the shots don't tell the whole story, but shots do tell the story when they're particularly low. If you don't have any fucking shots on goal, that means that you sucked ass or that you are trying to do something in the postseason that only works in the regular season, which is wait for the perfect chance.
Yeah, I disagree.
That doesn't work in the red. That's not a fucking postseason strategy.
The New York Islanders made the Eastern Conference Final 2 years in a row by following that strategy.
Yeah, they were doing it against a fucking dead Tuukka Rask, though. They were like, there's extenuating circumstances on all those things, and even the Canucks right now are up in the series despite getting no shots on goal. They're doing it against an asshole goaltender. You got to fucking meet in the middle. And you got to, if you're a team that in the regular season does not put pucks on net, you have to do it more in the postseason.
It wouldn't be my go-to strategy. I'll give you that. Like, it definitely wouldn't be my go-to strategy. But, like, saying that a team is only putting on 18 to 20 shots on net on any given night, I don't think necessarily fucking dooms them in the playoffs. What the problem for me, or for the Bruins in particular, is that you're talking about a team that repeatedly starts games by getting like 2 shots through the first 30 minutes. That is an insane tendency. 4
of the last 7 Bruins games has seen them put 5 shots on goal or fewer in the first period. And 3 of those games, game 6 against the Leafs, game 3 against the Panthers, and game 4 against the Panthers, have been games that were gonna need a response here games where something happened in the previous game where, oh boy, they're going to come out with their heads on fire. And in game 4, sure, Pastrnak takes a roughing penalty a few minutes into the game. Charlie McAvoy throws a big hit. Got to beat him on the scoreboard. And they're not putting pucks on Sergei Bobrovsky. But again, that's like where we'll get into the officiating. And I like that we've lightly danced around the officiating while still discussing that the Bruins have sucked. It's on Montgomery. Largely, if you're mad at somebody and you're a Bruins fan, be mad at Montgomery. Your roster isn't as good as the Panthers, sure. But Panthers got a bunch of Rangers fans mad at me the other night. Every team in the Eastern Conference is beatable. Every team remaining in the Eastern Conference could beat another team in the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying they should be favored. I'm not saying the Bruins should be favored against the Panthers, Rangers, or Hurricanes, but the Bruins could beat. Could win a series.
Any team can beat any team at this point in time.
At this point, yeah. But that's not we say in the playoffs, like, as long as you get in the NHL, you can win. Not really.
That's what I said last week. Yeah. We've arrived at the big boy stage where rumpus time is over. Every team that's remaining is a pretty good hockey team. And I said it on Felger and Maz last week. The Bruins are the worst team remaining in the playoffs right now.
Definitely. And they're kind of leaning into it right now. But let's get into all the bullshit that has happened. So starting with game 3, Sam Bennett sneaks in a punch on Brad Marchand, that there was some back and forth as to what. I watched that whole game, did a whole post-game thing on it app, full hour. Had no fucking idea that happened.
I just assumed that it was Marchand's shoulder after that hit when he went into like the bench area. It looked like he got up and was, it looked like he was hurt. And I assumed that it was a shoulder thing. And then I think Colby Armstrong was the first one to point it out, that there was that little, I think called it a rabbit punch.
Yeah.
And
shout out Colby Armstrong, sucking the hell out of himself for catching that, which, like, good job.
He did a good job.
Half the TNT broadcast is now, Colby, you caught this. And yeah, I caught it.
He's taking like a 4-day victory lap. But
the other half of TNT's coverage right now, if we're going to go at ESPN, we got to be fucking equal opportunity. The other half is, holy fuck, did you see they pulled Stu Skinner? Yeah, everybody did 5 minutes ago.
We can talk about that later. But the Bennett punch, and then like somehow before game 4, like 5 minutes before game 4, there's suddenly there's a new angle that shows it way more clearly. I don't understand how that happens.
Well, it doesn't matter that we only saw it a few minutes before game 4. The NHL saw it for days before. Like,
you would think
a full day and a half. Oh God, there's everything. There's old video. I'm seeing it dug up right now. People doing tours of the Situation Room, being like, "Wow, this is so cool." So you could really see everything, and they're like, "Yes, from every angle, yes." It's like fucking pre-chorus of Sabrina Carpenter Espresso, the way they're just saying, yes, yes, yes. They got it all. And we see it a couple minutes before the game, but when they were figuring out what to do, they review everything. They see everything. They take a look at everything. Not everything gets a hearing, but everything, so says Department of Player Safety, gets seen. They miss that. I don't love it because it's Sam Bennett, and I definitely don't love that people are doing it's Marchand. It's deserved. Brad Marchand's a fucking dirty player. You still can't fucking do that to
Right.
people.
You can't punish based on who's on the receiving end. And like, not for nothing, Brad Marchand hasn't done anything. He's had his hands clean for a few years at this point, for the most part. He's done like
goodish.
Yeah. Like, but again,
the Jari thing wasn't that long ago.
The bigger point is that you just can't punish based off who's receiving it. I will say, like, on the Bennett note, that shit happens during the playoffs, and it happens every year, and stuff gets missed, and I'm okay with that not being suspendable or suspended. Like, I'm all right with it. It's dirty. I think that you want to have a response to it if you're the Bruins, but I'm okay with it. I'm upset that Brad Marchand's hurt and was taken out of Game 4, of course. But like, that shit happens, and it doesn't ruin anything. The officiating in Game 4 essentially ruined what was a good game.
If anybody's watching this show for the first time, please make sure to hit subscribe on YouTube. We appreciate you very much. Yeah, it takes us to Game 4, where Marchand, as you mentioned, is out. Bruins got to rally around a lesser roster that was already pretty bad. And where the shit, I think, really hit the fan is the Sam Bennett goal. Bruins leading 2-1 in the third period. Sam Bennett throws Charlie Coyle into Jeremy Swayman, scores a goal after. Bruins challenge. According to NHL Rule 69.1, they're challenging for goaltender interference if a player has been pushed, shoved, or fouled by an attacking player so as to cause the defending player to come into contact with his own goalkeeper. Such contact shall be deemed contact initiated by the purposes of this rule. If necessary, a penalty shall be assessed to the attacking player, and if a goal is scored, it would be disallowed. Jim Montgomery, as I said, challenges it, and no. The goal gets upheld. The NHL's explanation is that Coyle's contact with Swayman, quote, did not prevent Swayman from playing the position in the crease prior to Bennett's goal. This is where I, as an observer, and I guess I probably am a Bruins fan at this point, but I'm not like a Bruins crybaby or anything, am throwing my hands up and saying, well, what the fuck are we doing here? Because I'm frustrated because they're the worst team. They're getting outplayed. There is a way, though, that this series, which has been, as I said, a shit show, could be 2-2, and that's just it. The Bruins are worse. They need to catch breaks in order to be in this series, and a fucking huge break goes against them. I know that we're going to get to a guest in just a second, but let's hear from Jeremy Swayman after the game. Sean?
I don't think progress was impeded. I just think that we could have prevented that, and the fact is that Coyle was pushed into me. I couldn't play my position, so that's that.
How frustrating is that, Jeremy, as you kind of go through it in your mind? I'm sure you've already gone through it in your mind a bunch of times.
I just want to stick to facts, and the fact is that my own player was pushed into me by theirs, and I couldn't play my position.
Were you confident that when the review was going on that it was going to come off the board?
So I thought that was like the money thing from Swayman there, where he was like, all right, look, I'm not going to be a crybaby. Let's just talk about facts. I couldn't play my position there. I agree. And I know that they said like, well, Coyle didn't go far enough into him that we thought that really he could not. If you're going to fucking operate in speculation, then everybody should be able to speculate that Jeremy Swayman, who is one of the better goaltenders this postseason, could have done some crazy shit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the big gray area around goaltender interference has become the problem. We've seen less than that be overturned, and it's just like the consistency with which goaltender interference is enforced drives me crazy. And I agree with, like, you can't get into speculation. You can't be like, well, he wouldn't have made the save anyway, because who says? Like, he's been the best goaltender for most of the playoffs.
I tweeted it last night. I was actively trying to vend the refs. I obviously do not like the Bruins. I want their fans. I think their fans oftentimes are crybabies. Could not for my life give a real explanation as to why. And like, I don't think Swayman makes that save, but we'll never know.
But who are you to say?
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
And that bothers me as a
you.
hater. Because I want to be like, shut up, crybabies. It wouldn't have mattered anyways, but I can't.
Because you win arguments with facts,
Exactly.
and you don't have that cudgel anymore. That's
Nope.
been taken away, and now we're all speculating.
And I think we're both very much guys who don't like to complain about officiating. We're very much like,
I don't
whatever.
complain about anything.
And even people who are complaining about the discrepancy in penalties being called in the series, Get over it. The Panthers are outplaying the Bruins severely. And you know what happens when a team outplays another team? They get more calls because they have the puck most of the time.
I thought where this series really got its most interesting is even after that, because dogged reporter Greg Wyshynski went to the Paul Maurice press conference, thought, hey, let's get both sides of this. We got Swayman's view of this. Let's get Paul Maurice's view of this. It led to this fucking gold.
The only way that I was particularly concerned is like some of your foreheads right now. Because the people in the media doing that to me, like you cannot believe. I caught you with the full forehead. That's where it came from. You were. What's that?
Your interpretation is interesting because I mean, it according to what Swayman says in their locker room, he was.
Let's go with him. We're good. We're in Boston. Stay with the Bruins, brother. I'm with you.
I'm from Brooklyn, man. I ain't from Boston.
I don't mean to offend you when you tell that, but we don't always share the same opinion about what happens on the ice. And I am absolutely partisan, like 100%. Sometimes I feel that you guys are too, but clearly, like from Brooklyn, why would you be, right, over this? But if we are so fortunate to win the next game, we're screwed in the Rangers series, right? Is that a fact? Anyway, I'm playing with you. I believe that. And I also believe at the start with all of the things, I think you've missed the point on the injury, and I think you missed the hit that caused it. I think you missed all of it. That's how I feel about it. Because you need some more gasoline. All right, you know what? I'm done. See you guys.
Is this good behavior from Paul Maurice?
He had me until the like, oh, well, I guess we're screwed if we get to the Rangers series. Like, you know, it's kind of not great behavior.
I was on my Dane Cook watching that.
Why?
Where I think it could have been good behavior or it could have been understandable behavior. It's kind of annoying to do the, look, I know I'm talking to Boston media here thing, so I can't win. What I didn't like from Maurice and what I loved from Wish is that Maurice said, look, hey, go with Boston, brother.
Yeah.
I didn't need brother there. Wish came back with, I'm from Brooklyn, man. And it's the classic Dane Cook Burger King drive-through bit where he says he called me buddy, and I didn't like that, so I called him pal. He called me chief. I didn't like that. So, and then Dane brings the house down with, do you remember what Dane Cook calls him to put the kibosh on it?
I remember there's an F word in there.
Well, he said when he called me buddy, it really sounded like he was calling me fuckface.
Okay.
He said, buddy, I heard fuckface.
Yeah.
Dane Cook, and this was like a walk-off joke. Huge, mass, everybody said great joke. Dane Cook wins the exchange by saying, okay, Gaylord. And then the whole audience is like, yeah, horrible behavior out of Dane Cook. Not great behavior out of Paul. I just don't like the, hey,
he tried
look,
to do
brother.
the gotcha. He tried to do the gotcha thing and then got it fed back by Wish being like, no.
His thing, I can see it on your face right now. Look, Wish ain't that guy, pal. And he really, if the Bruins are doing something stupid, he'll joke about it and make fun of them and everything. Not amazing behavior out of Paul Maurice. Let's get a guest's perspective on this. How about the Florida Panthers TV play-by-play broadcaster, Steve Goldstein? He joins us now. And man, Steve, it's great to have you. I wish that we had both you and Jack Edwards because this could have been an incredible conversation. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing great. I love all the controversy. By the way, all of this, and my Twitter was blowing up last night. This is why the Stanley Cup playoffs is the best postseason in all of sports. The passion on all ends. We could look at the exact same thing. 100 people, 50 see it one way, 50 see it another way, because everybody deep down is rooting for someone and biased. And I think it's great.
So let me ask you that. Do you think that it wasn't goaltender interference? Do Panthers fans think that it wasn't goaltender interference? I saw a lot of people, Panthers fans included, being like, wow, I'm kind of shocked that call, but I'll take it.
Well, here's my opinion on it. I've said this many times. You can go back, watch the games that I do on Bally Sports Florida. They don't want these reviews to last a long time. That's the edict from Gary Bettman in the league. If there is something egregious, when you go and look at the little tablet, right? If there's something egregious that you notice immediately that disagrees and contradicts with the call on the ice, then change it. Otherwise, The call on the ice should remain. My personal opinion on that, it's close. If you look at it closely and slow it down, Charlie Coyle is already gliding towards his goaltender. His right skate is already in the blue when Reinhart makes the contact. First of all, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, for anybody to call that a cross-check, you got to be kidding me. There's no penalty on that. That is not a cross-check. There was contact. My opinion, I don't think Swayman has any chance, even close to come back and make the save. So if I'm Jeremy Swayman, of course I'm going to say there was contact. It was caused by their guy, and I couldn't properly play my position. But if you're the NHL and you're looking at this thing quickly, you're saying, is there something egregious that should overturn what they ruled on the ice? And I don't think there was. Now, that said, if you want to take the goal away, go ahead. They could have played all night, and you guys just said this. They could have played 9 overtimes. The Boston Bruins had nothing going. They had 7 high danger chances in the game and 18 total shots on goal. We could have been there all night at 2-2, and the Panthers are probably getting the next goal anyway. So I think you guys hit it on the head. There's some close stuff. I agree. But the Panthers clearly, for 9.5 or 10 periods out of the series, of the 12 periods, have been the much better team.
Yeah, I think that if we were to take strip officiating away and just run a simulation with how these teams have played, just put in all the numbers, high danger, shots for, shots against, Corsi, everything. I think we've run a simulation 100 times. I think it's probably a 3-1 series right now, right?
Probably, yeah. Like
probably though,
yeah,
and
probably.
that's what we're fucking left
We're not
with
playing
because of all of these shades of gray. Though, is you have to say like, God, but could this thing have gone the other way? And I understand that that's what losing teams do.
But let me ask you this: why would you say it would go the other way? Because the Bruins had 2 power plays late in the game. I mean, Gustav Forsling, is that an egregious trip in a 1-goal game in a playoff game?
Yeah,
Aaron
but then if we're
Ekblad.
doing that, then we have Oliver Ekman-Larsson kind of
100%. So Boston got 2 power plays, including 2 men up on the Ekblad interference on McAvoy, which, by the way, a play like that, we've seen it the entire series, usually not called. But again, letter of the law, it's a penalty on Ekblad. So Boston's got a power play down 3-2 in the third, and they got a 6-on-4 for the final 40 seconds of the game. There's ample opportunity. And not only did they not score, the Panthers didn't even give them a sniff. They had 2 shots on goal in the period. So I agree with you guys. If we strip away all the officiating, it's clearly a 3-1 series. The Panthers have earned, even John Cooper last round, remember when he was complaining about the goalie interference? He said it's still a 5-game series. The Panthers were the better team for most of the time. I think it's amazing that Florida is now the shoe on the other foot, because I can tell you this, for 2 decades being here, for 25 years, all Panther fans ever did was complain about getting screwed by the officials and all these calls. And now the Panthers, I think, is what you guys said, when you have the puck enough and you're a really good team, you start to get some of those calls.
It's what loser teams do. And you just mentioned the thing of you have the puck enough. Minor penalties in this series, 18-11. 18 called on the Bruins, 11 called on the Panthers. That sounds about right when you look at how much the Panthers have had the puck. So it actually doesn't seem like the Bruins are getting a bunch of shit called against them. In fact, I'll give you this, Goldie. If I can call you Goldie, this is why did I fucking call you Goldie when it's our first time talking to each other? But I know it's your nickname. Yeah.
I've been called much worse, by the way, in the last 24 hours in my own house. So you do whatever you want.
Buddy, chief, anyway, Charlie McAvoy could have been called for interference on that, like, amazing, like, fucking lit him up. Like, that was, I wouldn't have been shocked if the refs fucking gave him that when they were trying to make sure that this thing stays in line. So the penalties called for each side, I don't think is horrible. I'm more a little upset with Department of Player Safety on the Sam Bennett thing. And again, I think we just don't really disagree. I think we don't see eye to eye on the goaltender interference thing. But when a rule is called that all over the place, you're probably going to have people on both sides of it.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I'm clearly a Bruins homer. I will 100% admit to that. But it's the Ekman-Larsson. They've been calling embellishment more than I expected in this postseason. That they didn't call Ekman-Larsson for the embellishment ahead of that. That it led to the power play, then led to a goaltender interference that I thought was pretty black and white. It was
pretty black and white. Trent Frederick hitting Evan Rodriguez when the game was already decided in game 2 4 times in the head. That was pretty black and white too. So, we can all go around and around on it. It's been a nasty, mean series.
So,
and there's a lot. There's a lot both ways.
It doesn't have a material impact on the score of the game.
No impact. Agree. No impact on the game. Right.
And it's tough for the Panthers and Panthers fans that the game last night after the Bruins-Panthers game was like 45-18 in favor of Edmonton Oilers shots, and the Edmonton Oilers lost that game. So doing they were severely outplayed through that game. They had 80% of the shots. They should have won the game. Most of the time, I would agree with you, but as it happens, you just need one bounce, and it was a big swing goal taken off or counted on the board in a big swing game, and it's just for me, that's what makes it hard to swallow. Not not the discrepancy, not all of the other bullshit. It's just that little 5-minute window in a vacuum.
Goldie, Pete was saying that he thinks the Bruins have a better roster, better coaching, and that all the Panthers players are bad, and that it's just the refs are out to get them.
Yeah, and they got the better broadcast too. I agree. It's a clean sweep. I know that.
Did any of the responses after the game last night surprise you?
You mean what? Which responses?
Because you had Maurice
being a bit of a penis, but
Jim Montgomery, who was way more composed than we expected him to be.
Yeah, let me say this, because the Panthers kind of went through this when they started getting good 4 years ago. You guys remember that epic series against Tampa Bay when the Lightning won in 6, and Bennett was suspended for the hit. Remember at the end of game 1, and they kind of stole that game, and it was back and forth, and it was mean. What's happened now is this Panther team has matured. They don't say anything all year, good or bad, about the refs. They've just laid off the referees. So am I surprised? Not really. First of all, every coach is going to defend his guys, whether they believe it deep down or not. They're always going to defend their guys, especially this Panther team. The way Sam Bennett, what this guy puts out on the line, there's a reason the other team doesn't like him. He's a direct, hard-nosed, go-to-the-net, mean, physical hockey player. Personally, I've waited 25 years for the Florida Panthers to get Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, Nico Mikko, guys like that. They never had guys like that. They were too nice. And that's the kind of guys that you win with. Like, Panther fans are mad at McAvoy. He hit Carter Verhaeghe in the head, cheap shot this year. He had Ekman-Larsson was suspended 4 games. He had the hit on Reinhart last. Charlie McAvoy's another guy. If you don't have him on your team, you don't like him because you want him on your team.
Well, I think most Bruins fans don't like him on their team for most of this series to begin with.
You know what? Bring him on, man. McAvoy, first of all, he's on an island. Mason Laura, I think, is a great story. Kid went to Ohio State. I think he's going to be a really good player. He's not ready for top pair minutes against a Stanley Cup contending team and a Panther team that's loaded in their top 6. So I think McAvoy, and no offense, Carlo's a good player, Lindholm's a good player. They got some struggles there in that bottom pair, moving guys in and out.
You cannot
but McAvoy's kind of on an island.
A good player. If you've watched the last 2, you've watched the Panthers against the Bruins. You have to think that Hampus Lindholm is like the worst player in the world.
He can be. You can get in if you got a good forecheck. You can hound Hampus. So my point is McAvoy is just carrying too big of a load. They're just asking too much of him against a team like the Panthers. So none of it surprises me. If I was the Boston Bruins, okay, and my point was, I know I got sidetracked. The Panthers were what the Bruins are doing in this series. That was the Panthers 4 years ago against Tampa. Complaining about the refs, making comments on an off day. We got to go after their guy. A mature team doesn't do that. Like, I got all respect for Pat Maroon, all the Stanley Cups, and it's fun watching him play. Like, honestly, what's Pat Maroon doing out there?
Well, when you're being as severely outplayed as the Bruins are, I think you need to make up the gap somewhere. And
yeah, but it doesn't. Him running around and waving to the bench has no impact on the game.
Strong agree, Goldie. It's a good take out of Goldie.
I mean,
I'm with you there. He's meant way too much to this series. Where like
that's what I'm saying.
Lose a game, they're like, let's hear from Pat Maroon, and I'm like, fuck that. Let's hear from David Pasternak. Let's hear from Charlie McAvoy. Let's hear from Pavel Zacha, who's being booted to the wing because he sucks so much and he's supposed to be one of your top 6 centers.
I get what you're saying.
The Chickens have come home to roost.
I get
for
what
the
you're
Bruins.
saying, but we've already talked about how
if
the Bruins keep starting games with like 5 or fewer shots on net. So when that happens, they need a fucking spark and something needs to get them
but
going.
it wasn't a spark because they got outshot 13-2 in the third period.
They're trying, they're trying something.
I just think in retrospect, if they have to go back and on the off day, Zacha's saying we got to go after their top players and Maroon Tkachuk won't fight me. No, why would Matthew Tkachuk fight Pat Maroon? So I just think that the energy could be spent in other places, but this is what happens in these playoff series when a team gets frustrated. As you guys were saying before I came on, that Boston's getting severely outplayed. And I think that's a product of it because I've seen it happen with the Panthers where they kind of got sidetracked on all that stuff with referees and all that. And now that they've been in this for 4 years and they've played all these playoff series, they just stay out of all of it. They played 9 games against their heated rivals, Tampa Bay and Boston. You can count on one hand the amount of times a Panther has thrown a punch after a whistle or done anything that the referees can call. They're staying out of all of that. And this team was not like that in the past.
Steve Goldstein, you're the best. I'll get you out on this very quickly. Are we seeing handshakes tomorrow?
Oh, 100%. I think, you know what? Could someone send me, could Maroon and Montour, by the way, those 2 guys are the best going back to the Tampa, Florida series, the yapping they do. I misunderstood. I thought you meant somebody on the handshake line doing something. The way the series has gone, look, the Boston Bruins have a ton of pride. I love the way Swayman is playing. He's keeping him in the game. I mean, his head has to be on a swivel. The puck is around his net like 45 minutes out of the 60 minutes. But I do think the Panthers at home, with the maturity that they've got, of them knowing how to close out series, and they didn't do it last time. They had a 3-0 lead against Tampa. Tampa got that win. I do think we see handshakes tomorrow night around whenever the game ends around 10 o'clock.
Well, I'm glad somebody guessed it. I'm not fucking predicting one more thing in this series because I've tried to go against what I think is going to happen because everything's just been fucking topsy-turvy.
I think at this point I just want the series out of my life, so I hope you're right.
So you figure Boston can't, you figure the Bruins can't win it anyway, so let's just end it? Is that where you're going?
Pretty much,
We're going to have you back on to preview a Panthers-Canucks final that is going to have Gary Bettman jump off of something.
I'd like that.
All right. Well, he's the best in the business. Steve Goldstein. He's Florida Panthers play-by-play man, and also Pete's worst enemy. That was a lot of good back and forth between you two. We'll talk to you down the road. Thanks, Steve.
Panthers Canucks would be terrific. They got a long way to go till then. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. You heard it there. Panthers winning the Stanley Cup per Steve Goldstein. Huge homer, that guy. Not a good guy. Yelled at Pete a lot.
He's great. No, I wanted to have him on. I wanted the Panthers perspective. I know Steve. We've done some work together through Valley Sports, so there's some familiarity.
Okay,
That's why we get
I
to
didn't
yell
know
at
that
each
or
other.
expect that.
Oh, okay.
He was jumping down your throat. He's not a nice man. That's Steve Goldstein. But I'll tell you what is a nice man. The Prize Picks website. Because not only is that app so good, I just got this. I got it's a MacBook or a MacBook Pro. I don't know, $50, Marshalls, this little computer thing. I open it right up and I go to Prize Picks because I do my DFSing there. Just select the games, more, less, categories. I've been getting into assists recently. Just saying, you know what? I'm thinking Dakota Joshua gonna have an assist in this game. Okay. I get it wrong. I don't do very well on Prize Picks, not recently, but I've 10x'd before. I plan on doing it again, and depending on how many categories you pick, you could turn $10 into $100 like that. Not that you got to you have to do it before the game, and then you got to wait for the game to end. So if you could slow down a snap into like 2 hours and 15 minutes, baby, you're 10x'ing like that. It's the best. And not only can you do it for hockey, but you could do it for basketball. There's the playoffs going on, baseball. Very excited to see Caitlin Clark's WNBA debut. I might have to DFS a little bit on that when the Fever take on the Connecticut Sun. Oof. I do all of my sportsing and all of my DFSing with Prize Picks, and I hope that you can do the same. Go to prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
And if you are going to be golfing this summer, like a certain hockey team that I probably root for, PXG, look into them because PXG is an incredible golf brand. I've gotten myself familiar with them, headed to the PXG Framingham location. They fit me for the Black Ops driver. It was an incredible experience, and I have yet to go out on the course and use it, but I'm very excited because the forgiveness that PXG provides to some crappy golf players like myself is invaluable. You don't have to sacrifice distance to get this forgiveness either. That's a big part of it, and that's a breakthrough in driver technology thanks to PXG. So if you want that forgiveness and you want to keep that distance, well, guess what? PXG is the brand for you. Game changer is thrown around so much, it kind of loses its meaning. But trust me when I tell you that the PXG driver is a true game changer. You'll be as impressed with it as I am. Learn more and get free shipping on all equipment at pxg.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos at checkout. That's pxg.com/whatchaos. Code whatchaos at checkout for free shipping on all equipment. One more time, pxg.com/whatchaos. Code whatchaos.
Hey, have you smashed the subscribe button yet? I hope you have. And if you haven't, just press subscribe on YouTube or wherever you're listening, watching. I'd find it hard to believe you're listening to the podcast without subscribing, but whatever. Just make sure you're subscribed everywhere and following us on social media. I'm talking Twitter. I'm talking Instagram. I'm talking TikTok. I will say we're not a big hit chat podcast.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, if hit chat on social media is not free engagement.
Sure
we
is.
got to do is just clip any little thing. Sam Bennett, Carson Soucy, to the moon, Alice.
I know. Speaking of to the moon, did you see the what's his name? Kitty, the guy, Dumb Money, that Dumb Money guy. He's back. He's back on the scene. He tweeted for like the first time in 2 years.
What is his name? Kitten
No,
fight?
it's something Kitty.
Yeah, it's like Ninja Kitty.
No, it's
Sean, what is it?
Sean. Can I get a numbers
no
crunch?
idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Sean, can you just pull up the Dumb Money movie and
Chat. What's his
There's a
name?
movie?
Something Kitty. But do you have
Paul
a number?
Dano.
Do you have numbers crunch on the Don Sweeney press conference? Has he said anything yet?
Oh, yes, he had availability at 12:20. Sorry, if you could follow, if you could check the Twitter accounts of Connor Ryan, Steve Conroy, Ty Anderson,
Roaring Kitty.
Roaring Kitty.
Roaring Kitty.
Ah, yes.
Do we have anything else that we want to?
Well, I wanted to ask you the question about handshakes. Will they be shaking hands last night? I don't know what the fuck Goldie thought I was talking about when I said.
No, he thought you were asking if like they were not going to shake hands because the series has been so heated.
Oh, so he was.
Oh, okay.
So he was like,
Yeah.
well, obviously the series is over. You must mean a different thing.
Yeah.
I tell you, Goldie's fucking crazy.
He was fired up. I was surprised that he was so very like that is not goaltender interference.
He'll get you. I like that guy.
great.
I will say, as somebody who was looking for reasons to discredit the Boston Bruins, convinced me a little bit. Like
you don't
just
need to look for
tad,
more reasons
a
to
tad.
discredit the Bruins.
Dude,
Oh, I know.
We came out of the gate telling you they suck and that their coach is coaching a different.
I meant specifically the goaltender interference situation.
Oh, I thought you were just like, you know what? I'm just gonna root for the Panthers now because they got a fucking crazy guy on the call.
I'm
No.
disappointed in Jim Montgomery and kind of asked Goldie that question. Like, was he surprised by any of the responses? I don't know if he saw Montgomery, but I was disappointed by Montgomery's response because Monty was fired up and pissed off on the bench during the game. And I don't know if he was trying to save some dollars in the post-game press conference, but we've seen in the past, there are times when some shit goes against you that you just have to bring your checkbook to the podium and go a little nuts. And if ever there was a time for Montgomery to show some fire and be pissed off in front of a microphone. I think it was last night, and I think, all the stop complaining kind of responses be damned. I think you want to see the attitude that he showed on the bench carry over to the press conference, and I was a little disappointed that he didn't just call it out for what it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to basically get a little summary of what happened with Don Sweeney today. People in the chat are saying that maybe he was skating. Sean, if you could find that.
Don Sweeney was skating?
That Brad Marchand was skating. But he basically, I think, and I was just trying to read Twitter during that, he was kind of defending Jim Montgomery, saying, we can't criticize the officials. We could say that the league needs to do blah, 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 but like we're going to get fined for it. It's fruitless. I don't really love that. But he did say that the league needs to explain themselves on the Sam Bennett thing, because he's saying, and I'm paraphrasing, if we can see all these angles and they can see all these angles, there needs to be an explanation as to why that was fine. So it would appear that Don Sweeney wasn't exactly breathing fire, but if there is some sort of update on Brad Marchand and whether he will be available, traveling, whatever.
He did skate. That's the only thing that I'm really seeing. As far as Don Sweeney, it appears that everyone's shitting all over him for not doing anything.
Yeah, so here's a tweet from Ty Anderson, our friend Ty Anderson. Sweeney says we are not supposed to ask Montgomery about officiating. Says we need to talk to the league officiating supervisor. Sweeney is basically saying the NHL needs to put officials in front of mics in not so many words.
Okay, Connor Ryan has that Brad Marchand will travel to Florida and is still day-to-day. So thank you for bearing with us as we did a little Twitter reading. And
just wanted to make sure that there
time.
wasn't anything like huge from Don Sweeney that we missed in the course of this
I'll tell you
episode.
what, his predecessor, Peter Chiarelli, when he stumbles in and would do a little impromptu, unscheduled, this is an unusual availability thing, he'd come with a little more. Sweeney, press conference grade, A-.
A- for sure. I agree with that.
I want a little more, like, asking questions in his answers, like what are we doing here?
And
I want
turning
stuff
it on,
like that.
And not to be like the media defender, but like turning it on the media for asking questions about what was the most controversial play of the playoffs so far last night. Get the fuck out of here.
Let me tell you, this thing has stories about Don Sweeney turning on the media, talking about phone calls.
Greg Wyshynski in his he's on a little bit of a heater with his relationship with, I guess, the NHL right now. He just said that Don Sweeney said that we shouldn't ask the coach about his own challenge. Brilliant. So Greg's not happy. If you just
fucking
type
Florida media.
If you type in Don Sweeney on Twitter, he's getting called a lot of names, a lot of cuck, coward, spineless.
Nice.
A lot of that on Twitter.
Do you want to read a slur?
Or any of those
Sean, are you
Spurs?
king-shaming?
Also, if you look up Don Sweeney, make sure you put the Don first, or else you're going to get a lot of half-naked pictures of Sidney Sweeney.
Oh, well, that seems more pleasant than whatever this experience has been.
Somebody in the
It just
chat
depends
said
on what you're
wouldn't be
looking
the
for.
first Sweeney DJ doesn't like. A, I don't dislike Don Sweeney. He dislikes me. B, I don't dislike Sidney Sweeney. Sidney Sweeney is like the New York Rangers to me, where I'm like, yeah, pretty good. And fans are like, you should fucking die for saying that. Man, shout out the New York Rangers. We love that team very much. Think they're the best in the world. Nope, not a single problem.
DJ's
Don't
overcorrecting because he got cooked by Rangers fans last
I got
week.
cooked by like 10. I can't decide. I'm like, so do all Rangers fans hate me? Clearly not. 10 Rangers fans hate me because they cared to comment that much.
Yeah.
Nobody else who feels that, if anybody else felt that strongly, I guess they also would have been like, these people. And then there are people in the comments warning people like, hey, don't listen to this. They just fuck around the whole time. They don't know what they're talking about. I was like, well, we could have fucking told you that. We tell you in the description, we just fuck around the whole time.
What did you say about the Rangers?
I went back and watched it. I said I said that the series has been close, which it has.
It has. At 5-on-5.
These are two series, or these are two good teams in a mid-conference playing close games, and one of them has won the first 3 games. It all makes sense to me. I could understand not liking my tone there, but I don't know.
You didn't explicitly say that the New York Rangers were mid, and that's what some people took it as.
We know the Rangers experience, though.
Crazy.
God bless the Rangers. But do you think handshakes on tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think that
You want handshakes.
I want handshakes, and I think that the Bruins are just, I think, mentally spent.
Yeah, you can't expect anything more out of Jeremy Swayman. I think that we're honestly seeing, as the series goes on, that like
back to earth a little bit.
Back to earth, or the I said this to somebody last week. All the celebration of this guy's doing everything. Show me anybody else that's carrying their team this way. That's not good. That's tread on the tires. That's workload. That's a player playing more than he ever has. That is not fucking good. Your team is probably going to lose if your goalie is standing on his head, doing everything, making up for all this other stuff. You want them to be unplugged every now and then. The reason, I'll stick with the same team, the reason Tim Thomas could stand on his head and do everything in 2011 is they had the best fucking defenseman in the world. They had Zdeno Chara playing in front of him. So if Tim Thomas needed to fucking take a period off, he could do it. Jeremy Swayman has not been afforded that opportunity. God bless him. He's given it his all, but we're seeing moments. Couple of the times with how he's played the puck. First period, that thing with him and Mason Lowry last night. Oh my God.
I mean, even the Lundell goal wasn't very good.
Yeah, bad angle goal, and I guess that will bring us to the Edmonton Oilers, who are down 2-1.
Before we do that, John, I'm going to hit the super chat.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Super chat from the love of your life. $2. What chaos?
What chaos?
Oh, I thought that was just calling us like cuckos. And I was like, whatever. Call me a fucking
What cuckos?
Yeah, let's get to the Oilers-Canucks, because that series is getting very, very interesting as well. And I don't know where you want to start with it, so I'll just hand it off to you. You're the oil man.
I'll just say that I am not worried about the Edmonton Oilers. I will say that the Oilers have been the better team in this series. At some point, I probably should get worried that they're losing this series, that they needed overtime to even not be down 3-0 in this series. Crazy shit. They've got the better team. I'd like Adam Henrique to not only be back, I'd like him to be good, but this all starts and ends with goaltending. For all the Oilers talk we did this year, including their goaltending is horrible, they had to fire their coach, their goaltending has been good and everything. It took a fucking dumbass bozo radio yapper to raise the point of, what if Stuart Skinner sucks? We didn't even fucking consider it. Stuart Skinner, I fucking love you dearly. He has been the difference in this series. He's been the difference.
You know what makes me really, really angry? And it's I got to this arrival and this conclusion based off of the Maz thing, where Tony Maserati said, Stuart Skinner sucks. And Tony Maserati doesn't watch a ton of hockey. I feel confident in saying that.
The man's a fuck Tony Maz. All right,
he doesn't watch a ton of hockey.
I consider him a friend. Fuck that guy. He's an idiot.
I guarantee he doesn't watch as much Oilers as we have watched over the last year. And we've arrived at Stuart Skinner was good to fine during the regular season, and we had some confidence into him heading into the playoffs. Tony Maserati did not, because, and this is my point, people who haven't watched the Oilers probably came into this series or into this playoff run with some preconceived notion about this year's Oilers team that would have been wrong coming into the series. And they end up looking like the smart people, because basically all the old tape and all of the old criticisms on the Edmonton Oilers are coming true once again. They're playing like fucking assholes. Their back end is too shaky. Like the defense that they played, it wasn't all Stuart Skinner's fault last night. The first period that they played was horrible defensively, but Stuart Skinner has been pretty bad. They're not getting enough depth scoring, and they're being carried by their stars in their power play. All of that shit, if you haven't watched a single Oilers game this season, that's exactly what your book on the Edmonton Oilers would be, and you would be 100% right in this series.
It's such a great, and this happens. I learned it like as I was getting to the tail end of being on the Bruins beat, where knowing everything can be a bit of a detriment, because the people who are zoomed out a little bit and just watch it casually can paint with broader strokes. And a lot of those times, like, they end up getting as good a glimpse as you are, even if you know more and you've seen more. If they're just walking past it and say, this is all it is. Pete and I got in a little spat whatever during
Disagreement.
disagree. I like blew my fucking stack, and I don't like to do that, and whatever, I'll fucking wear that. The beginning of the Game 2 overtime stream, Pete said, hey, you know what? And it's a point that I generally agree with. Like, didn't have much respect for the Canucks coming into the playoffs, but I gotta say, and I was like, what do you gotta fucking say? And he said, they're kind of kicking ass. And I lost my shit. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? They're kicking ass, blah, blah, blah. My respect for them has definitely gone up because they beat a team. They beat a team that was evenly matched with them in the first round, which a team that's prone to get punched in the mouth doesn't always do that in the playoffs. They've hung around in this series to the point where they're fucking leading it. So good for them. But by and large, the Oilers have, and it was kind of semantics with like what we were.
I didn't want it to be taken as they're kicking the Oilers' ass because they were not doing that. I was just more impressed by Vancouver and what they've shown from a toughness standpoint, from a mental standpoint, for a team that just hasn't been there.
Yeah. Well, let's look at. And I ended up getting into some like fights afterwards with whatnots. So. Look, we all have fucking bad days. I was very on edge. I was very burnt out. I'd done like 3,000 shows that week, and it's a lot more fun, not complaining about any jobs. It's a lot more fun doing shows with these guys than it is going around fucking doing media tours and being the fucking explain why the Bruins.
Especially when the guy who watches zero hockey all year ends up looking smarter than you.
Getting fucking ragdolled by Maz. I was having a bad week, so I just needed something good to happen to me, which is why you also saw the borderline, like, fucking sexual release of the Oilers winning that Game 2 overtime. Shout out all my Oilers guys. Anyway, here is a look at this series between the Oilers and the Canucks, just to explain what I mean when I say the Oilers have been the better team.
Nerd shit on my screen right now.
A lot of nerd shit. So I got Corsi for percentage, which is just the shot attempts, and I've got the high danger chances and who has had the edge in each of them. Game 1, the Canucks, better team. Canucks had to come back in that third period, but even Oilers people were saying, you know, like Oilers didn't really deserve to win that game. But Game 2, Corsi for percentage, 65% in favor of the Oilers. And then you see the high danger chances, 13-6 in favor of the Oilers. Game 3, 72.5% the shot attempts in favor of the Oilers. And
this one should say Oilers, not
yes,
Vancouver.
right. And 18-9 high danger chances in favor of the Oilers. So this should be, at the very least, 2-1 Oilers. Goaltending has just fucking made the difference. Here's the overall glimpse of the series. 62% shot attempts in favor of the Oilers. 12-11 are the goals, though. And the high danger chances favor the Oilers. The expected goals for greatly favor the Oilers. This tells you, though, that for as much as we fucking love the guy, Stu, you've been the difference.
Yeah.
And you've been it hurts me to say it, you've been the fucking problem, man.
Yeah.
The only goaltender worse this postseason, it sounds weird to say because this is a fucking legendary player, has been Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all Stu's fault, obviously, but he is by and large the difference. And shout out Arturs Silovis.
I was going to say, we have to fucking talk about
third
that.
string goaltender for the Vancouver Canucks is on the other side of being the difference. He was really, really good in Game 3. But I texted you last night, like, this series is very weird in that I can trick my brain into thinking that it should be 3-0 Canucks, but I can also trick my brain into saying it could be 3-0 Oilers too.
I agree. And this is how a clear mind works. Somehow my disposition is better just because I went outside and fucking touched grass over the weekend. But that's completely fair. The Oilers are overtime away from, and Ian Cole being a fucking douchebag away. Right?
Ian Cole has been very bad.
Oilers could be down 3-0 in this series, which brings us to this question. At what point should Oilers fans or the Oilers be worried? I'm still not worried because of all the nerd shit I just threw up there and because of eye test stuff. The Oilers have to get production from people other than, I'll add fucking Matthias Ekholm to this list off the top of my head because he scored in every game this series. But it can't just be McDavid. It can't just be Draisaitl, and it can't just be Bouchard. It feels like it's only been those guys with Matthias Ekholm also just scoring goals inexplicably.
Chat pointing out the Oilers hit a lot of posts last night as well.
Do we have it,
one?
Sean?
Leon Draisaitl made that point in his post-game comments, and we have that. Awesome, because here it is.
You guys hit, I think, 4 or 5 goal posts tonight. You generated the chances. How much of that is bearing down, or how much of that is just good goaltending or luck?
Well, post is not good goaltending, but yeah, we can certainly do a better job of bearing down and you know, like I said, capitalizing on our looks.
When in the regular season, when you kind of get goalied, you know, you play the next team another night and you just move on. In the playoffs, you're going to see this guy again. Do you guys need to kind of go to school on this guy a little bit?
I don't think so. I think we got enough guys in here that can put the puck past him. Shown it so far. He's obviously playing well. Made some big stops for them, but yeah, we just gotta, you know, be a little cleaner and you know, look to bear down a little bit more.
Number one, the arrival of Pissy Leon Draisaitl is an incredible development for the postseason. I'm
Couldn't
very
have come
happy
a
about
second
it.
sooner.
And I got to ask the question, behavior grade? Like, I know that we love Pissy Leon, but take your affinity out of it. What is the behavior grade on saying post is not good goaltending?
One, honesty grade. I'll never bullshit a bullshitter. I can't take my affinity out of it. I love that man so much. Posts are not good goaltending. Posts are not good shooting.
That's right. That was my point.
That is such a two-way street.
That is such
but
my
I
point.
guess it was being presented, though, of like, hey, is this just good goaltending? I think that, oh, man, I would have loved to see if the reporter followed up with that with like, well, it's also not good shooting.
I would have loved a follow-up.
That's my favorite Pissy Leon thing, though, because he'll also just do it. So, I don't like that. I really do like the behavior, though, on the, hey, you got to crack the books on this guy. It's like, sweetie, I'm fucking Leon Draisaitl. I don't got to crack the books on shit. I just got to fucking stand behind the goal line and somehow decide to score.
The fact that he's still getting away with that is unbelievable.
He is so fucking good. But I'm glad that you mentioned Arturs Silovis because we cannot give him enough respect. Like, I seriously fucking bow to that man because he's part of the reason this is 2-1. I'm still not really worried, though. If I'm the Oilers, they're so much better than the Canucks. And yeah, maybe it's because I'm a little extra invested in this because I now have Canucks fans going at me on Twitter. I see what people talk about with the toxic fan bases. Oilers fans, I'm watching you as well. Be nice. Don't fucking say slurs. Don't say bad things. Not slurs, but there was a video. There was a video of a Oilers fan yelling at Nikita Zadorov, which
not the guy I'd yell at.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
don't yell at
that.
But they're yelling stuff in different languages,
scary.
and he's just fucking staring him down like Michael Myers. And I'm like, I don't fucking like this guy being a part of all this.
Nikita Zadorov, unbelievable postseason so far, and what a scary human being. Been scary for a while, but it looks like he doesn't even fit into his hockey uniform and his hockey helmet. His neck is so wide, it's outrageous.
I don't like difference maker Nikita Zadorov.
Of course you don't, because you're an Oilers man.
He's been a difference maker, but you know what? I believe would it be his defensive partner? Who does Carson Soucy play with? He's on the second pairing.
Well, famously,
might not be.
They combined for a nice little tandem at the end of last night's game.
They were out there together. So yeah, those two are probably thick as thieves. Let me quickly pull up.
Soucy's line mate is Tyler Myers or pair.
Oh yes. Yeah. The first pair is it Hughes? Let's see.
Hughes and Hronek, and then it's Soucy Myers.
Yeah, Zadorov is with Cole because he's got to watch that.
He's got to watch that ass.
He's got to
babysit that guy.
Right, he's got to babysit that fucking loser. Just kidding. Love you, Ian Cole. Love everybody in this.
You already
series.
called him a douchebag. I don't think you can walk back the calling him a loser.
What did I call? I called Goldie fuckface.
Well, it was like a Dane Cook reference.
It was Dane Cook. Did you see
calling somebody fuckface and then be like, oh no, you don't get it. Don't be offended. It's a Dane Cook reference.
When I brought up that Paul Maurice and Greg Wyshynski were getting into the Dane Cook-off, Dane Cook-off, the chat was on it right away saying, drop the slur, say it. Carson Soucy. What?
I wanted, before we move off of that, do you start Stuart Skinner?
I was. I didn't want to just have that topic in the show, just because I don't know my fucking answer. Man.
Do you see Biz suggested that they
Yes,
Jack
call up
Campbell?
Jack yesterday?
Honestly,
I heard
why
them
not?
talking about. I heard them talking about it on 32 Thoughts this morning, and they were like, "Well, he's played in the AHL all year long," and the response was, "You know who else has played in the AHL all year long?
yeah,
Arturs Silovis.
beat him at their own game.
Yeah,
Truthfully, I've gone back and forth on it all morning. I think I start Pickard.
Yep.
In game
I definitely
4.
do. I definitely do. Pickard was good for them during the regular season.
Yeah, they beat good
And-
teams with Calvin Pickard.
And you just need average goaltending. You don't need Calvin Pickard to be the guy.
Yes,
just fucking don't be an asshole.
if you get playoff or if you get postseason replacement goalie performance out of Calvin Pickard, baby, you got a stew going. I can't say stew because of fucking Skinner. It breaks my heart. It's very sad, but he has been detrimental, and the stats are there. The expected goals for, he has allowed, I think, 6 more goals than expected, which generally, like, goalies are supposed to be like a little above. He's allowed, like, again,
I mean, you're certainly not supposed to be at 5 or 6 in 3 games.
but I'll tell you what, ends to a means to an end, whatever. He did make a nice sacrifice. The goal that he allowed in the second period of game 2, I'm sorry, led to a nice plea from Henrik Lundqvist getting on the reverse VH. It was, you see it go in and you're like, man, somewhere Petey's dying, losing his mind. But the cause is spreading because finally everybody is now, like, every casual hockey fan now understands, what the fuck are you doing? Stand up. Just bad goaltending from Stuart Skinner, though. And it hurts me because I really like that player and I love my Oil guys. But I think, yes, in game 4, you have to fucking start your backup because he is the difference in this series. Very frustrating. Carson Soucy at the end of the game. Connor McDavid gives him a little slash. Nikita Zadorov throws a cross check at McDavid's back. And as McDavid is falling down, an intended, I would say, probably chestal cross check from Carson Soucy gets McDavid in either like the chin or the throat. Like, best case, you got him in the face. Worst case, you got him in the throat. He is getting a hearing for it. It's going to be on the phone, so it'll be fewer than 5 games. I don't think that we would think he'd get 5 games, but
1 maximum. Like
I think 1.
Most of the time when you get a hearing, you're probably getting suspended. Very rarely do you see a guy get a hearing and walk away with just a fine or whatever it is. I don't think that he deserves a game. I'll be honest. I know that I know that it happened after the game. I know that it's hard to get away with cross-checking Connor McDavid in the face. But the 2 things that I look at is that he slashed first, and I don't think that he gets him in the face unless Zadorov gives him a little cross-check and gets him going down to the ice.
It's bad and it's unfortunate, but you said something during that. As you said it, I pointed. Sean's ears perked up. I think that you said the magic words.
Can't cross-check Connor McDavid in the
face.
face.
McDavid. You can't fucking get McDavid anywhere, really, but you got him in the fucking face. Bad look. Everybody's slowing it down. TNT's doing a half hour on it. Buddy, sorry. Gotta go.
I know. I get it. I just don't like it. I don't like it. It seems very unfortunate and unfair to Carson Soucy.
But we're all realists here. Not all players and not all situations are treated the same. And if you're the fucking
I mean, Sam Bennett got away with a rabbit punch to the face of the Bruins captain.
Right, but they might have been doing the thing that you're not supposed to do of, it was against Brad Marchand, though.
And it was also during play.
This is the fucking my cousin Vinny thing. Buddy, you're in the South and you killed a good old boy. Like, you're in a series against the fucking Edmonton Oilers and you got Connor McDavid in the face with everybody watching. Sorry.
I think the worst thing that for Carson Soucy is that it happened after the game because, number one, like, you can't chalk it up to being in the heat of the moment or during gameplay, and you can't penalize it effectively in game. Like, if he had gotten a 2-minute minor for cross-checking or whatever, check to head, whatever what would have been in the moment, I don't think there's supplemental discipline. But because it happened at the very end of the game and it effectively went unpunished, I think he's going to end up getting a game. And it should be noted, too, Nikita Zadorov got suspended $5,000.
Somebody asked, hey, DJ, while you're busting out the numbers, what's Stu Skinner's save percentage this series? Don't even need to look it up. I have it fucking burned into my brain. We do have a fucking full screen from Sean. God bless you. 793 in the second round. Horrible behavior. And the first two stats you see there, and I understand that this is also an audio medium for some people, so I'll walk you through it. We've got a full screen with Stu Skinner under Chris Knobloch. Since Chris Knobloch took over, he has a .912 save percentage in 50 games. First round against the Kings was a little shaky in game 2, but by and large looked good, and I felt good about my Stu Skinner Conn Smythe DFS. .910, and then second round against the Canucks, 793 save percentage in 3 games. He has been bad. So again, said it a million times, that's the difference. And I'm now left to ask this question. Did that Canucks fan, the kid with the horrible behavior, hashtag where were the parents, did he know something?
Oh, Jack Campbell kid?
Fuck Jack Campbell. Oh.
That would be, I didn't even think about that. That would be the best possible outcome.
Did that kid put
What
a
did
hex
he know?
on Stu Skinner?
What'd you say?
Did that kid put a hex on Stu Skinner by not even mentioning his name?
The question is if they end up with Jack Campbell, is Jack Campbell going to have superpowers? Because then he might have screwed himself.
No, man. This series, you say something bad against the about an Oilers goaltender, you will be proven right. I look at that kid. That kid and Tony Maz are like my Cedric and Bob from Seinfeld. You know those guys?
Yeah.
The fucking street
The
toughs?
ribbon? Yeah.
Those fucking guys, man. Maz and that kid. I see those two walking down the street. I run the other way. They're fucking in my head, man.
That's fair.
Let's do a slate grade presented by Game Time. At 7 p.m. U.S., sorry, let me get to it. At 7 p.m. U.S., the Hurricanes visit the Rangers for Game 5. Rangers lead that series 3-1. Shouts out the Hurricanes for staying alive on Saturday night. 10 p.m. U.S., the Stars at the Avalanche. Game 4, Dallas leads that series 2-1.
9:30.
What's that?
9:30.
I'm sorry, not 9:30 p.m. U.S.
Good behavior.
As this slate does not force me to watch the Bruins or Oilers, I think it's great structure. I think it's a great slate. This is a premium slate, boys.
I agree.
And there's baseball on. I got to give it an A.
Good for you. I agree. Do we want to touch on anything from either the Rangers Hurricane series or Dallas Avalanche? Because they played on Saturday and some stuff happened.
Well, just the last thing we could say is let's do Stars for a couple minutes.
Okay.
Joe Pavelski, not even close to beating the allegations.
Oh,
it's getting
no.
worse and worse and worse, which for us, I think is getting better because as long as we are tracking that Joe Pavelski looks old, terrible, and bad, once he gets going, and I think the Stars are going to be around for a little while longer, there's more time and ample opportunity. This series going at least 6 games. There are more chances for him to turn around, and Julian Edelman voice, it's going to be a hell of a story.
You don't know this series is going automatically 6 games. Could go 5.
Oh, if they no, but I'm saying I'm saying the Stars are sticking around. They can't get eliminated in fewer than 6 games.
True.
Yeah, so I'm saying like they either win this series
Yeah.
or
Oh,
they
fair.
get eliminated
Yeah,
in 6 games.
Fair.
Yeah.
Chad also wants to see a close up of your shirt, by the way.
I'll fucking give it up.
They thought it was Matty Healy. It is not. That is one Kendall Roy.
That is Kendall Roy, and it says I can fix him. Next time I should have taped Stu over all the pictures of.
Yeah. You should have done like one of those Frankenstein shirts where like the split jersey where you do I can fix him and then you put it right underneath your Stu shirt.
I'm going to, should I overnight another one of these shirts and just like print out some Stu Skinners that I can stitch onto it? Could be fun. Be poking myself with needles. Horrible.
Correct in that Joe Pavelski not beating the allegations anytime soon.
I feel like he keeps on, like the hockey gods are cruel and they keep on giving him breakaways. Like we've seen at least 2 breakaways where it's like any other player would probably at least get a shot on net and he just gets chased down.
And Cale Makar didn't need to go fucking and one mixtape on Joe Pavelski. Just horrid behavior. Respect your elders.
I agree.
Very unnecessary.
We have to bring up the Avs every show, which is, I mean, we basically do at this point anyways, but because we got another super chat from Katie.
What do we
Avs
got?
man. Go Avs. $1.99. I am the Avs man.
Sean is the
I'm an
Avs man. What do we do if I'm not worried, but say the Oilers are to be eliminated, and I'm rooting for the Bruins in their series. If the Oilers and Bruins are eliminated in the second round, I'm really going to have to recalibrate and like think about who do I want? What am I? Do I just become a Rangers fan and then be really toxic to you guys?
I mean,
that could be a
the
good
Rangers
character.
the Rangers are fun. It's just like the only reason that I have a hard time rooting for the Rangers is because of. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, so like I don't have a problem with anybody being a Rangers fan. I'm committed to the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, right. So that's the thing. Like you guys, it's either going to be you have the Stars or you have the Avalanche. I will be a man without a what is it like a man
without a home?
Yeah, no, isn't there like an expression?
A rebel
yeah, I'll be a
without a
homeless
cause?
man. I don't have a cause or a home or a
Or you're
man.
There's
not a
been
rebel.
a surprisingly little amount of conflict between Pete and I, considering that we are on opposite sides of that series financially and then emotionally on opposite sides of the Bruins series.
Interesting.
I don't know. Like I think Dallas, man. Dallas looks so good. I know that they made it in an adventure in game 1 and then in game 2 as well. They looked really good in game 3.
What
and
happens?
Jake Ottinger's looking.
My only question is what happens when the Avalanche score the first goal of the game? Because the Avalanche have needed to ferociously come back in all 3 of these games. They give up the first 3 goals in game 1, first 4 goals in game 2, and then fall behind 1-0 in game 3. Game 3 was the most normal game there's been in this series. But what happens when what happens when it's the Stars who need to fucking get back in the game?
I was gonna say it's very tough for the Avs to have a like good-ish game from Georgiev. He only gave up 2 goals and not win. Like you kind of need to win those games.
I also think like Colorado's maybe biding their time a little bit until some guys get going.
While we're talking about these other 2 series and these games that are being played tonight, we would be remiss if we did not congratulate and give a massive shout out to friend of the show, Chris Bayo, because that man is living his best life right now. Played SNL on Saturday. The odds were -700. We see some Rangers gear from him on SNL. That bet cashed. He wore it for the thank you at the end of the show. Wore a cool Rangers jacket. They played some gig where they brought out like a real
housewife,
a real housewife because he's a big reality TV person. I don't know what the fuck any of that meant, but I saw people were going crazy for it, and they were like, "Bayo manifested." I don't know what
people were tagging me and Ellen in the same tweets, which you know some crazy shit has happened because Ellen does not give a shit about hockey. I do not give a shit about like Real Housewives. But
Vampire Weekend brings everybody
live
together.
in those worlds, and we were brought together.
Big week for Housewives. The what's it
Oh
called?
yeah,
Otani's, Ipe's,
yeah.
like middleman, basically the one he was giving all the money to was like a guy from the Real Housewives.
It was like a ex-husband or husband of one of the housewives.
Crazy like Mad Lib of people being involved there.
It is wild that like I think that the housewives and the people in those worlds, like I just assumed that they were fucking nobodies who just like got famous by being on this TV show. No, like they're like celebrities and they're like actual people with influence in like these big circles, and that's how they get on the show.
What confuses me is like sometimes real people, when I know nothing about these shows, the things I know about, I know a lot about. The things I don't know about, it would astound you how fucking little I know. Sometimes though, like real people like that I've heard of walk in and out of these worlds. Like reality TV people know who David Foster is. And I'm like, why do you know who David Foster is? David, the fucking 80s super producer? That's shit. That's my fucking lane. Like how do these like real people end up in these reality show worlds?
If I know. I just think that like because those are like the it circles in celebrity worlds that like you just come across people and they end up on the show.
It's the Andy Bernard thing. Naturally, it's where I belong. Like the Finer Things Club is the most exclusive, high-end thing here. Naturally, it's where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. David Foster sees some whatever, and he's like, look, I've worked with Shaka Khan. I should be here.
I was watching Selling Sunset last weekend, and one of the girls on the Selling Sunset show is Johnny Manziel's ex-wife. So I was like, it just like there's all these fun facts about like the people on these shows and like what's happened in their personal lives or who they know or who they've been like involved with. It's fascinating.
Okay, if the Oilers and Bruins are both eliminated this round, we become
Selling Sunset guys.
We become a Selling Sunset guy. We have Bayo regularly tell us about what's going on with housewives and shit, and that will be the show. Plus baseball. Stick with us throughout the week. We'll do a like spike in a second, but stick with us throughout the week. We've been having guests pretty much every day, as you probably noticed, and that's just because there's a lot of shit going on in the postseason, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So make sure you are subscribed everywhere. I'm talking YouTube, I'm talking Spotify, I'm talking Apple, and Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all those things. We're posting regularly on there. And I got to say, we got a pretty lean operation. Sean, Pete, myself. So we're working around the clock for you nice folks. Stick with us.
That's right. Before we get out of here, like Spike, please hit that thumbs up right below the video player. We will appreciate you if you help spike those numbers. Not only the likes, but also the subs. Go to the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed there. Please do that as well. If you enjoyed the show, maybe leave a show grade in the comments section below the YouTube video.
Oh, yes. Comment on how Goldie did. Comment on the Goldie video saying, I don't know this, man. He does not strike me as a good guy.
I was going to say, I don't know if you realize what you're signing up for, but
that guy yells.
Wait,
what do you mean?
Yell.
Well, I didn't realize that was the angle you were taking at first, because I was going to say you're going to get a lot of negative comments, I feel like, but that's where you're going.
Listen, I appreciate Goldie for coming on, for entering into what is essentially a Lions den full of angry Bruins fans today. Did see there's plenty of Panthers fans in the chat saying, cry harder. These guys suck.
Cope.
Yeah. So the world balances itself out. We appreciate Goldie for coming on the show, providing the other and wrong perspective. So big shout out to Goldie.
Last question I'll ask you two. Have you gotten a horrible sense of dread in like starting in the late second period of games that we might have to stream?
Yes. Every single game.
My hockey watching, it's like a small thing. It's not a ton that we're doing when we stream these games, but I was doing Mother's Day stuff yesterday, and I was like, I am in fucking hell watching these games. Not because I don't want to stream, because I just don't fucking know if I have to stream in a little bit.
That is my thing, is the uncertainty, is the fact that like you always have to be ready, and then you end up not being. Like if I knew halfway through the game that we were just going to go to overtime, it wouldn't be a problem at all. Or I preferably, I guess, knew that we weren't, and I could just sit there and enjoy the game. But
I won't lie. I've been caught off guard a few times and just kind of let the thought of a game going to overtime slip my mind, maybe lit up a joint.
Oh, so that's fine. You can, so I'm pretty much off all the drugs. So you can, like, if you want to get a little stoned, that's fine. And we don't talk a ton on these streams anyway. It's more about how it ends.
People have sniffed it out immediately. They'd be like, oh, Pete's high. So I don't want to be like visibly or like
who cares?
Incoherent.
No, just be drooling on yourself.
All
right. The worst part is that like even the games that are blowouts have almost always been made interesting later on in the game. Like,
yeah, right.
Like the Oilers keep getting behind.
Rumpus time is over.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't fuck around. Any of these teams can come back. Except the Bruins.
Right. So also another reason to be subscribed to the YouTube. Our endings have been getting better and better and better on those streams. Got to credit Sean.
Incredible trigger finger this over the weekend. So
yeah, I mean we're always on different times, but I think when Pete and I just did it ourselves, Pete was just like, just do it when you see it. And that's basically what I did.
I was gonna say, I like that you've kind of leaned into like, when is the moment right? It's not just like, has everybody seen it? If someone is mid-sentence or something and it will make them look stupid for it to end there, fucking pull it, man.
Yeah, no, I'm letting it rip.
All right, we will talk to you tomorrow. Go whichever team you like, specifically the Rangers. Don't kill us. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.